Well, I'm going to advise people to, once I start the reading, to please turn your microphones off so that you won't disturb other people with your snoring.
Oh, it's a comedy. Oh, cool.
Well, we tried. I'm standing up, as you know, so it's
Yeah, you're doing stand-up. There you go.
So how you guys doing today?
Good, good.
Yeah.
We're in Bend, Oregon, and it's we had snow this morning, and it's supposed to snow again starting this evening.
Yeah. And what's your elevation again, Kevin?
3,700.
Yeah.
Oh.
So nothing compared to you. You're like the top of the world, right?
No, not quite. It's about 75 here and 10,000 at Ski Valley. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Rebecca. Except for the fact that you're in different time zones, I would have said you all came on the same bus.
Fire looks very nice, Brian.
Oh, thank you. At least half of me is nice and warm.
It is a good night for a fire.
Now, I think everyone so far knows me, but if anyone is there who does not, my name is Brian Allan Skinner, and I'm here to launch the book, Our Lady of Roswell, which was just published by Nighthawk Press. Rebecca Lenzini is one of our attendees this evening. And I also want to do a reading from this, but I wanted to introduce myself a little bit first. I was a production artist for Scientific American newsletters in New York for a number of years, as well as an editor at Kirkus Reviews and other publications. So I'm used to book layout and writing and editing, so I managed to do a lot of this work myself, which the nice advantage of that is it let me have control over it. So after New York, I moved here to Taos, New Mexico in 2015. And this is the fourth book I've published since coming to Taos. This is the first novel published in Taos. And I had so much fun in writing it, I can't tell you, maybe I shouldn't say that, which is not to say it wasn't a heck of a lot of work too, but it was work of enjoyment. So I want to thank Rebecca Lenzini, my publisher. I want to thank Jan Smith at SOMOS, the Society of the Muse of the Southwest. She's the executive director. And to thank my friend Anthony Fountain for doing proofreading. All are necessary tasks. So I'm going to start reading right now. Now, it is a somewhat historical novel. It opens in 1944, just a few days after D-Day, and I was looking for passages that wouldn't give anything away, but I was finding that there were very few places where if I read it, it wouldn't spill some secret or hint that would ruin it if you haven't read the book. So I'm going to try to avoid those, but to still give you a flavor for the book. So, all right, here we go. This is right from page 1. And this chapter is called The Starry Messenger. My Tio Nicolas is grumpy tonight because he couldn't tune in the president's fireside chat on the radio. Reception comes and goes around here like it was carried on the wind, my uncle complains. Maybe it is, Tio, I say. He blows air through his teeth as his way of dismissing the idea, a gesture that's gotten louder and less tuneful in recent years as he loses more teeth. Nonsense, Antonio. If radio was born on the wind, you'd only get reception in one direction. But radio fans out in all directions, like ripples on a pond. Better stay in school. His remark is his polite way of calling me brainless. I wonder what he'll say when I turn 18 in 2 years and graduate high school. My uncle only graduated grade school. Tio plugs his rattle-trap refrigerator back in and takes 2 Dos Equis from the refrigerator. The refrigerator is unplugged on broadcast nights because its cycling on and off interferes with reception. It's a rare occasion that he lets me drink beer. I was hoping for some good news about the war tonight, he tells me, taking a long swallow of his beer. He doesn't talk much when he's grabby. My father, Tio's younger brother, was killed at Pearl Harbor 2.5 years ago. Papa was not even on the ship when it happened. He'd been assigned to the infirmary as an orderly. The base hospital was strafed, and he was killed trying to get the patients to safety. I don't think I could be that brave. I miss my father so much. It makes me sad when I remember his helping me build a house for the bluebirds in our backyard. They come back every year, but my papa does not. Mama went off a mental cliff the day the Western Union man showed up and handed her the telegram. She's in a ward at the state hospital that does not allow outside visitors. That's why I live with my Tio Nicolas. My uncle asked me to fetch him another beer. I only pretend to sit in line, so I'll have one to give my buddy later. After Tio falls asleep, I'll be able to sneak out. I laugh every time I pass his creation on the shelf beside the kitchen window. His sister, my tia Anna, makes plaster knickknacks she sells in town at the farmer's market. She paints and varnishes them, but I think they're grotesque. My uncle got her to cast a plaster mold of the cute skunk that she makes and decorates with paper flowers. Tio Nicolas had other ideas. With his pocket knife, a file, and some sandpaper, he rearranged the skunk's face. He asked to borrow my tempera paints. I hadn't used them since grammar school, so they had all dried up. But he got them liquid again by adding water and stirring them with a spoon handle. Good as new, he declared, borrowing one of my brushes, too. My uncle produced a plaster statue of a skunk with the face of Der Fuhrer. My aunt was annoyed he'd taken liberties with her statue, but she laughed anyway. I pry the cap off his 3rd bottle of Dos Equis. I figure I might have a shot at sneaking away tonight. If he has another, they'll fall asleep and I'll be home free. I open a beer and place the last unopened bottle on the kitchen windowsill to retrieve later on my way out. Tio never remembers how many he drank. I'll be okay so long as I remember to return the bottles. The carton of beer has 6 bottles. I'd like to alert my friend that I'll be coming over. He's got a telephone, or at least his grandpa Otto has one, but my uncle doesn't want a telephone in the house. If you can talk on the telephone, somebody can listen on the telephone, he said. I never trusted Hoover, neither the president nor the G-man. Their eyes are shifty, like one of those black cat clocks. Tonight's soapbox subject is government trampling on our liberties. He has polished the topic to gleaming. I listen as hard as I can in order to stay awake, but his lecture puts me to sleep. My uncle's snoring at last awakens me. I leave the truck key on its hook by the kitchen door so he doesn't think I've gone someplace. It's rarely locked anyhow. I tiptoe out, carrying my full bottle of beer. I pound the cap back on with my fist so it does not spill all over the inside of my Tio's truck. After retrieving the other bottle of beer from the sill and back, I open the truck door. It's a good thing I greased the hinges. I stash the bottle behind the seat, stuffing an old blanket around them so they do not roll around and break. My father's heavy Navy binoculars hang around my neck, safe in their leather case. I set them carefully on the floor. Putting it in neutral, I inch the truck forward until it's hidden and muffled behind the red willow bushes. I climb in and push the starter of the old Ford pickup, a 1934 that my uncle sanded by hand and painted turquoise with a brush. I'd be a little embarrassed to be seen driving it around in daylight. Tio does not know I know how to drive. I'm not quite sure I know how myself. I've gotten a couple of dents and creases in Tio's truck, but he keeps the can of turquoise paint in the barn. No one is the wiser once I brushed over the damage. He's never said anything to me about it. I didn't have to lie, so I didn't have to mention it in confession. Still, it bothers me a little to deceive him. The moon has not yet risen. The only light is starlight. It will be a waning quarter moon tonight. My best friend, Six, named after his great-grandpa Sixtus, has taught me the patterns and rhythms of the moon. He is up in his room. I switch off the headlights so his Grandpa Otto doesn't see me. My amigo and I are going to look at Mars tonight with my papa's field glasses. I toss a pebble at Six's window and lean the ladder from the side of the from the side of the house against the back porch roof. He tosses 2 bedrolls out his window and turns off the light. Six climbs out onto the porch roof and clambers down the ladder. He turns to me and, wrapping his arms around me, kisses my cheek. I kiss his in return. It's been 2 days since we last stood in each other's company. I missed you, amigo, he tells me. We stand holding each other for a minute, looking into one another's eyes. We've been best friends since first grade, 10 years ago now. It's still pretty new to me, what we call being cozy with one another. I really like it, though. So when the book opens, they are both 16, and it goes, by the end of the book, they are many decades older. And they are the 2 main characters, Six and Antonio. Many of you know them from short stories in my previous books, and they are back for that. 2 years later, after they graduate high school, they have enlisted in the Army and are sent from Roswell to Fort Sill in Oklahoma, where they undergo their basic training. So this is the scene as they first get off the bus. My amigo and I take our jackets off and stuff them into our gym bags. I feel that we overpack by having a single change of underwear, but some guys carry suitcases. Six and I stand in different lines. After one, there's always another line to get into. Six and I cross paths a couple of times, but then I don't see him anymore. We talked about the Army sending us to opposite sides of the globe, but I'm not ready for that just yet. My amigo and I hope to at least go through basic training together before getting split up. But it's not up to us any longer. Nothing is. Our lives are not our own anymore. That thought scares me more than anything else. You, move up. It takes me a minute to realize he's talking to me. The first stop that doesn't involve filling out forms or answering questions is the barber shop. There's one style for everybody, bald as a cue ball. The floor seems about ankle deep in hair. Six and I have had pretty short hair since we were boys. Crew cuts last a lot longer, and they are much cooler in summer. But now, at the end of winter, we're giving the barber a lot more to clip off this morning. Why do you gotta shave all our hair off? The recruit asks. There's quiet laughter. That's because some of you come in here with mechanized dandruff. Mechanized dandruff, the recruit asks. Head lice, you rummy, the barber replies. Next. I wonder how far ahead Six might have gotten. I look around for him. There's hair down the back of my shirt. It itches and scratches. A recruit at the opposite end of the room keeps looking at me. I can't imagine where I know him from. I don't think he was on the bus. He waves. It is Six. I recognize his shirt. He looks so funny. His head looks so much bigger without hair hiding the top of it. He smiles at us and is urged to move forward in his line. The next room looks like the gym locker room at the school, except that there are no showers. We are told to strip to our drawers, our undershorts. and to stash our civvies, our civilian clothes, in the little cubby holes behind the benches. There are little cloth bags on a cord inside each cubby hole. The number on the bag matches the one on our locker. We're instructed to put our wallets and valuables in the bags and hang them around our necks. We each carry a folder with our enlistment papers in it. Six stands next to me. He doesn't seem the least bit self-conscious. Remember those dreams where you don't have any pants on? He asks. I nod and smile. We're embarrassed because we're the only ones in the dream running around without any clothes on. Here, no one's got any pants on. It makes me laugh. I'm no longer quite so nervous as I was. Maybe it has something to do with seeing my amigo again. All right, cut the chit-chat. Get going, a gruff voice says. Okay, and that is the end of that section, because if I were to go further, I would give some detail away that I don't want to. So the next, this next short scene, it's the last one I'm going to read tonight, is from after they are discharged from the Army and they go back to work at their own employer, which is Milagro Nursery and Greenhouse, which they have bought from the owner, but they discover going to work one morning that there are barricades and there are notices put up that the greenhouse is up for auction, sheriff's auction, because of non-payment of back taxes by the previous owner. So while Six waits to talk to their employees, Antonio drives to the sheriff's office to see what he can find out. And the sheriff's name is Warren Pease, by the way. Pardon me just a minute. I'm gonna take a sip. Okay. Sheriff Warren Pease sits at his desk. He looks up and smiles. Care for some coffee, Sanchez? He asks. Sure, thanks, Sheriff, I reply. He takes the coffee pot from the hot plate and fills a cup. It looks like used motor oil. I sit down across from him. Is there some kind of mistake, Sheriff? I ask. I wish I could say there was, son. Looks like Eduardo forgot to pay last year's taxes too. He owes about $400. $400? Holy smokes! I shout. How are we gonna make any money if we can't even open our doors, Sheriff? We're just squeaking by, you know, huh? The tax money should come off what you boys are paying Eduardo for the business. Or else you might get lucky buying it at auction for only $400, Antonio. Personally, I wouldn't chance it. The next guy only needs to bid $1 more. The sheriff stands up. He opens his billfold and takes out $5. I like you and your amigo. You're both hardworking fellows. I want to see you boys make a go of Milagro. A little strong, ain't it? He says, looking down at my untouched cup of coffee. He hands me the $5. Six's grandpa helped me out of a couple of scrapes. So did your Tio Nicolas. The kindness you do people doesn't always come back to you, Antonio, but it never goes to waste. It always gets handed down to somebody who can use it. I am choked up, unable to speak. I take the money he offers and nod to him. I wouldn't worry too much, son, the sheriff says. I don't think Eduardo's trying to flim-flam you boys. He might be a scatterbrain, but he's no scoundrel. I'll be cheering for you. Thank you, Sheriff, I managed to say. I shake his hand and leave his office, feeling a little more upbeat than I did going in. So that is all I'll be reading from Our Lady of Roswell this evening. And if you want to go turn your microphones back on, and I'll do a little Q&A. And anybody that has questions they want to ask me, And before I go that far, especially since
That's
my
his name. It's unmuted, right, when it's got the line in it.
I didn't hear that, Pat.
We got it. We were working on the mute, unmute.
Yeah, hang on.
Oh, hey there. Hi, Martha.
Hi,
Hey,
Brian. Everybody.
since my publisher is staring right at me, I also want to mention the other books, which are, I don't know how well it's going to show up. The first one, Shoot Me Jesus, Tales of the Old and New Southwest. And second book, Magic of Kindness. And Last Christmas's Weird Santa and Other Christmas Tales. And they're all available at Nighthawk Press. So I'm open to questions. Anybody wants to know anything? If I don't know the answer, I guess nobody does. Go ahead.
Brian, maybe you can tease some of the historic moments that are mentioned, or years even.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the things I wanted to tell you was that I'm not trying to either be sacrilegious. I'm not poking fun at the Catholic. Well, maybe I'm poking fun at the Catholic Church, but I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I'm not criticizing ufologists in the book either. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. But today happens to be the feast day of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is very big in Mexico and here in New Mexico. And this evening, as I learned, History Channel is doing a 3-part series on, there was new information that came to light concerning the Roswell crash, Roswell crash from 1947, that was written by, it was a notebook kept by the, one of the Army intelligence officers at the Roswell Army Airfield. And it went down, it came down to his son. His son did nothing with it, but now his two grandsons approached the History Channel, and they're doing a 3-part documentary on his notes that he took. And he makes no bones about there having been an alien craft. And it just so happened, I didn't know about this until yesterday, that one of my characters keeps a meticulous notebook, and he compares his recollection of the crash with what the official version is. Does that answer it, Rebecca?
Yeah. I know Brian's trying not to give away all the fun secrets in the book, but there are touches to real historical incidents.
Yeah, and I did an enormous amount of historical research, and somebody said, well, you know, it's a work of fiction. What do you care? But I want it to be as accurate as I can, and it's only if the facts interfere with the narrative that I toss them out.
You know anything? No?
Hmm?
I was gonna say, Ryan, did this idea come to the Lady of Roswell since you moved to Taos?
Oh,
The
yeah.
idea for the book?
Oh, yeah. In fact, the idea arrived just a little over a year ago. It was a year in October, and I happened to wake up one morning with Our Lady of Roswell was in my head. I don't know, sometimes it's music. I never know what I'll wake up with. And I thought, oh, gee, that's interesting. I wonder what that's about. I don't have a clue. And, you know, like it wormed its way into my head, and, you know, took a few notes, wrote down a couple of ideas, did a little research on the history of, you know, Roswell at the time. And the next thing I know, I had a chapter written and just kept going. I never know if I'm going to get to the end of the book or not, but I did in this case.
Brian, this is Linda. I thought it was very detailed. Everything, all the details were amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I try to, well, it's got to be set in a place. You have to give an evocation of that place. And I just looked up what was around. I did research on what brands of vehicles and clothing and everything that was around, how much a telephone call cost, how much it cost to mail a letter, just because they're important to the story. And if I don't like to be general if I can be particular.
Yeah, that's good. And as a side note, Our Lady of Guadalupe is celebrated here in Chicago also.
Oh,
They
yeah,
have
yeah.
a shrine in Des Plaines, but they have taken the painting and statue and everything indoors because of COVID. So they're doing a virtual celebration today.
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Alan, this is Marianne Ferretti. That was really interesting. And I'm intrigued by Roswell. A friend of mine from New York actually came here a few years ago. Her husband had some kind of artist internship or some kind of workshop down
Okay.
in Roswell. And she told me that Roswell has a wonderful artist community. Have you been
Yeah.
down there?
No,
And-
I'm planning on going. I can tell you that. They have a wonderful UFO museum too in an old
Yeah, I
theater.
know that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about the artist colony, and that sounds, I'm
That I
just
didn't-
curious.
No, that I didn't know about.
Maybe we could all go and you read at the UFO museum.
Only if we get free admission by the
Get a
bus.
bus.
So Jim and Pat bragged to everybody about living in Florida. Everybody that's dealing with winter.
Oh, hey, well, we've had our chilly weather for us is, we had like 60s and 70s. So people
Oh.
like, people bundled up in clothes like you're wearing now because they took advantage of a chilly day. Yeah, it's easy in Florida. Although we did have, there was some 40s around us in the morning a couple weeks ago. So it does chill down sometimes at night, but then, you know, for us, that's like, oh, let's just bundle up a little bit.
So it is amazing though, because the people down here, they got to bring out all their leather jackets and everything they could really use them.
Well, yeah, you gotta put it on when it's as cold as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, here.
Although we've had some people you can smell when we walk at night. They've got their fireplaces going because you can smell the wood.
Oh, that's always nice. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that here
yeah.
too. So I wanna thank you all for attending my reading tonight, and I will wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And anything I've left out? Any last minute questions?
Oh, I was just wondering, Brian, did you have any illustrations in the book this time?
No, well, not entirely true. I have the three little spaceships that are on the cover. They float among the pages on the inside.
Okay.
All right.
I was going to put in a word for Brian also. He has this book loaded up on Amazon if you want to buy a printed copy, or we can send it from Taos, either he or I, through the Nighthawk Press website. But it's also up on Kindle. It's on Nook. It's up on Audible if you want to listen to it if you have a long drive ahead of you, and you want to hear about some really fun characters and what they do over the years. So, I mean, all of this work done by Brian himself. So very impressive, really.
And I enjoyed it.
So do you have another book in mind to start?
Yes, unfortunately.
Logical.
I didn't think there was going to be, and I was pretty sure that my next book was going to be a memoir, but I don't think I've lived long enough yet for a memoir. So the book, yes, there is another book started, like one page and a couple pages of notes, and have no idea whether it will make it or not. You know, it's always a journey of exploration for me as well. So.
Sounds good.
Okay. I
All right, guys.
bid you all good night. And again,
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
We enjoyed it.
Everybody,
Holiday.
Bye.
Great job.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Night.
Night.
Figure out how to turn it off.